Love x Revenge is a channel about fate, power, mercy, and the moments when one choice changes everything forever. The cowboy found her at dawn, when the desert still breathed cold and the sky wore a pale ribbon of pink. His horse slowed before he did, ears twitching, sensing what the man had not yet seen. There, half hidden among broken sage and stone, lay a woman with blood darkening the sand beneath her. She was Apache, unmistakable even in pain, her long black hair tangled with dust, her face sharp and proud despite the feverish tremor in her breath. He dismounted carefully, rifle slung low, hands open. Years alone on the frontier had taught him that survival depended on caution, not cruelty. She stirred when his shadow crossed her face, eyes snapping open with a flash of terror and defiance. Her hand moved weakly toward a knife that was no longer there. "Easy," he said softly. "I'm not here to hurt you." She did not believe him. Why would she? She had been taught, as he had, that mercy was rare and that enemies wore many faces. Her leg was torn by a bullet, the wound hastily bound with strips of cloth that had long since soaked through. She had been running for days, maybe longer. In her mind, the story already had an ending. If a white cowboy found her wounded and alone, there were only two paths left, death or chains. Slavery was not a rumor to her people, it was a wound passed down in whispers. She waited for him to reach for rope. Instead, he tore a strip from his own shirt and knelt beside her. He cleaned the wound with water from his canteen, ignoring the way she flinched and cursed him in her language. His hands were steady, practiced. When he finished, he wrapped the leg carefully, tighter than before but not cruel. Then he stood, stepped back, and surprised her again by turning his back to her. "My cabin's a mile west," he said. "If you want help, I'll carry you. If you don't, I'll leave water and ride on." She stared at him, confused, anger battling exhaustion. No bargain, no threat, no demand. Her world had not prepared her for that. She fainted before she could decide. When she woke, the smell of wood smoke filled her lungs. She was indoors, lying on a rough bed, her leg elevated, freshly dressed. Panic surged through her until she noticed the door standing open and the rifle leaning against the wall, far out of reach. The cowboy was outside, chopping wood, his back turned again. Days passed. He brought food, spoke little, never touched her without warning. When fever took her, he stayed up through the night, cooling her skin with damp cloths, murmuring nonsense just to keep her anchored. When she woke screaming from dreams of capture, he sat on the floor, far enough away to be no threat, and waited for the terror to pass. Her name was Naya. She told him that much on the fifth day, her voice hoarse but steady. His name was Thomas Hale, a man with no family and fewer regrets, or so he claimed. He had come west to disappear, not to conquer. Naya healed slowly, her strength returning with stubborn determination. She watched him constantly, waiting for the truth to reveal itself. Men like him always wanted something. Land, labor, power. One evening, as the sun bled into the horizon, she finally asked the question that had burned in her since the desert. "Why am I not bound?" she demanded. Thomas considered her for a long moment. "Because you're not my prisoner." She laughed, sharp and bitter. "I am Apache. You are alone. You could sell me, trade me, own me." "I won't," he said simply. "That makes no sense. Most good things don't, at first." Her people found her 3 weeks later. Warriors rode hard, weapons drawn, ready for blood. Thomas stood on his porch, hands raised, knowing full well that this was how men died. Naya stepped forward, leaning on a carved stick, and spoke before either side could act. She told them everything. She told them how he had found her, how he had offered freedom instead of chains, how he had turned his back on power when it was handed to him by fate itself. The warriors listened in silence, suspicion slowly giving way to something rarer. Respect. Their leader dismounted and studied Thomas with eyes that had seen too much. "You could have taken her," he said. "I know," Thomas replied. "And you did not." "No." The leader nodded once. "Then you have taken something else. Our trust. Do not waste it." They rode away with Naya, but she looked back again and again until the cabin disappeared behind the hills. Winter came hard that year. Thomas endured it as he always had, alone, until one morning he found tracks outside his door. Familiar ones. Naya stood there, wrapped in a heavy cloak, her legs scarred but strong, her gaze steady. "I am not here because I owe you," she said before he could speak. "I am here because I choose to be." He felt something in his chest break open, something he had buried long ago. The land around them changed slowly. Trade replaced tension. Stories replaced silence. Some called Thomas a fool for refusing easy power. Others called him dangerous for earning loyalty without fear. But the people who mattered understood. The wounded Apache woman had expected slavery and found choice instead. The lonely cowboy had expected nothing and found a future he never dared imagine. And in a world built on taking, their story became one of the rarest revolutions of all: mercy, freely given, and fiercely returned.